Hello everyone, and welcome to another quick video of something actually running. So this is the GTX 780 Founders Edition, or reference card as they were known by back then. Here we have it. And yeah, so pretty much what I've said before about this card is this is literally the worst Kepler card I've ever had the bad luck to encounter. And yeah, basically in stock configuration the card didn't even do 1200 MHz, which I thought was actually impossible, but this topped out at 1180. With the power limit essentially removed, or set like so high that it would never hit it, it did 1215. Every other Kepler card I had with such a power limit lift basically did 1250, if not even 1260 to 1270 at that point. So this at 1215 is still very, very far behind. Yeah, so since the card is using an NCP 4206, switching MS Afterburner into an extended MSI mode actually gives you up to 1.3 volts V-core control. You're not actually getting 1.3 into the core, you're getting about 1.25 because of LOC and also voltage drop from VRM to core. But 1.25 is still plenty if we look at some previous runs. I'm going to run it in a few minutes. But yeah, the BIOS that's on here currently is a 350 watt BIOS. And here's also the ASIC quality if you care. Yep, it is very bad. Yeah, we actually came pretty close to the board power limit over here. And given that we have 6 V-core power stages rated at 50 amps each, which means that I actually kind of don't know what kind of wattage we can pull, but like the core itself is getting 255 at max. We also overtrying the PCI Express slot by a bit. So yeah, it's chugging a lot of power. Like stock, like just removing the power limit and just letting it pull as much power as you want without overvolting it and overclocking it, it's about 250. So we're at pretty much 100 watts more from overvoltage and overclocking. So yeah, with this voltage and BIOS and stuff, like I did change the BIOS a bit to get some more voltage range out of it. You can adjust voltage tables in Kepler BIOS editor. I got about 10 millivolts extra in normal MSI mode, but then I checked the extended mode and saw, oh, it just goes to 1.3, which I think is true of all NCP. Like all reference PCBs for 780 and 780 Ti, they use the NCP 4206. I think this straight up just tells the NCP 4206 to put at 1.3 volts. I don't know if it works with the NCP 4208 on a card like this. Like this one has a 4208, this has a 4206, on this card it should work. But yeah. So I'm going to run Firestrike now. And while it loads, let's, yeah. So the card is stock pretty much. I did change the BIOS to set the fan to 100%. It usually is stuck at 85. So this is loud, but at least there's some decent airflow coming out of the card. And yeah, max temperatures are slightly above 60 degrees with the stock heatsink. So like blower heatsinks that have a vapor chamber are actually not that bad for benching, because as long as the benchmark is short enough, the vapor chamber can just kind of tank the heat load. So this did pass before. It might crash now because camera's rolling. But yeah, so we are at close to 1300 megahertz. It didn't pass at 1306, which is the next step that the card would be at. And you're also seeing our power consumption. 100% is 300 watts, and 117% is 315. So that's the kind of power draw you're looking at. And you might have made out that we did see an artifact on the screen. So the core is very, very close to its maximum frequency. And while GT2 runs, it's not as core heavy, so it's pretty much gonna pass. Let's take a look at our actual voltage. Yep, 1.25. Since GT1 is a bit more core heavy, our voltage in here in GT2 is slightly higher than what we get in GT1. So in GT1 we get pretty much flat 1.25 with slight occasional dips to like 1.247, 1.245. But yeah, so the VRM is spitting out 1.3 minus some LLC margin, and that's what we're getting into the core with 1.3 set in software. And with that said, this voltage is very much enough to blow the 6-phase 50 amp DRMOS FDMF. Actually, I don't know, the 780 reference, like the 780 Ti reference, uses FDMF 6823Cs. And I have some custom a custom 780 and a custom 770 that use also the FDMF 6823C. But I think the reference 780 actually uses some TDA DRMOSes. Electrically they should be pretty much equal, they're also 50 amp DRMOSes, but they might have some slightly different efficiency and feature sets. But yeah, still 50 amps, we have 6 of them, that makes 300 amps that we can pull continuously with this VRM. That's not a lot considering that this card has a GK110, and the GK110 is, I think, actually the most power-hungry GPU that has ever been made. Like, when Der Bauer overclocked the Kingpin 780 Ti, I think he peaked at just over 2600 watts of power consumption. So yeah, that's what the LN2 power consumption, or maybe it was liquid helium, but I think it was LN2. And we did pass. And yeah. Not the best score though. Well, I didn't change memory and my CPU score, so kinda sucks. Yeah. So let's look at our, if we extend this a bit. So this is our GT1. Yep, pretty steady. 320, 330 watts. What's our GPU at? 230, 240. Yeah, in GT2 it's a slightly lower power consumption because that's more memory heavy. And combined, we are up again to GT1 levels. Yeah. Also, what's our maximum temperature? 66. Yeah, like all that voltage is giving it a bit of a harder time. At stock voltage, I think it maxes at 56 or 57, so we're adding about 10 degrees to it with our voltage. But yeah, I mean, at least it's pulling clocks that are not super bad now. Though I'm pretty sure, like, this card is also on a reference PC, but it has a better cooler, it has a better core and better memory. I'm pretty sure if I do this to this card, it will do better, much better. I think it's gonna do 1320, because this does 1267 with just the power limit removed, whereas this one was, again, stuck at 1215, so yeah. But at least with enough voltage to blow the VRM to smithereens, it can at least pull some slightly decent clocks. Not really that happy that I didn't cross the 1300 megahertz mark, though I did come very close. It's just now I can't use the clickbait thumbnail and video title with like every 780 can do 1300 megahertz, because this is I think this is categorically the worst 780 you could have. Reference PCB, really bad core, also the worst memory I have on a 780, and reference heatsink. I also think my thermal paste job is not really that great, mostly because I've ran out, and my replacement thermal paste seems to be stuck on the Ever Given in the Suez Canal because it's never arrived. So yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I am planning to hook this up to water cooling and then see what it can do, but I think then I'm done with the card, mainly because that MSI card has the same PCB and is just better for core and memory. But yeah, I like to test every card I have. So yeah, at least some kinda decent scores. and yeah, nothing really more to say now. Like, quick video, this is really just 10 minutes and not 20. Well, I think it's 10 and then it's 20 in the end. But yeah, so if you have an NCP 4206 based card, which is like reference 780 and 780 Ti, you can probably just go in here, select extended MSI, and you will just be able to set this high. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, because I did mess with the voltage table on this BIOS, which did give me a bit more voltage range in the normal mode for MS Afterburner, but I think this should just work on every card. If not, you just take the essentially what I did. This is the BIOS that I'm on. I just took these 3 entries and just maxed them. So you might have to do this. And also, if you take power table, that's just what I do. I just set 300, 350, and 150 for every entry, which is I think this is the one that's for the PCI Express slot. So technically, I'm allowing the card to draw 350 watts from the PCI Express slot, which might not be that great of an idea. Yeah, like that's how you can do remove power limits from the card. And yeah, here you can set your maximum fan speed, which is on 85 for the reference card. And with that, I think we're done. So, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye.